So, good morning. I was talking with a friend of mine this morning. We're hoping to get out the first week in February. I'm going to just put a real good brace on my knee and I'm going to attempt skiing into a winter camp. He got to talking about rope, and he knows I'm real opinionated on rope and what everybody's favorite rope is. Most people, they carry a typical paracord. And I like paracord, but it's not my favorite rope. This particular paracord here is a 4-foot piece. I always carry a 4-foot piece of paracord with a loop tied in the end like this. I always carry one of those in my pocket. When I'm working, when I'm on my homestead, always have a piece of paracord with that loop in it. Always when I'm in the outdoors. It's amazing what you can do with this little thing. You'll find a million uses for it, believe me. You should always have a piece in your pocket. So my second little stuff is this paracord. It's not paracord, it's just braided nylon cord. It's very, very small. So this stuff is fantastic. It weighs absolutely nothing. It's very, very strong. You do not need this strong of a paracord to tie a tent or a tarp down, except for maybe a ridgeline. But as far as your tie outs go, you can get away with this smaller stuff. In fact, this stuff right here is a braided nylon. This was given to me by a veterinarian 40 years ago. I'm sure they still make it. He had this big roll of it and he gave it to me. They used it to suture up cattle, like when they had to cut them to pull a calf or something. And this stuff is great. This is the same stuff they gave me, when I was, 18 years old. I still carry it. I still have some. I use it all the time. For your basic rope, this is my favorite. 45 foot, 30 seconds. It says it's a working load of 26 pounds. I don't exactly know where they come up with that working load limit because, believe me, I've hung, 90 pounds of food with these ropes, and I've never had one break, ever. The great thing is they do not lose, they stretch out a little bit because they're all braided here. Don't get the woven. You got to get the braided. But like for hanging food or for, say, putting up a big tarp ridge, these things do not stretch like nylon does. Once they get the braid flattened out, they won't stretch anymore. So they'll really stay real well. The other thing that they're just ideal for is hanging food. And in most places in the United States, if you don't hang your food, you will get fined. If you don't have it in a bear barrel or something. And you are absolutely required in grizzly country. In fact, I believe you have to have your food in a tree from 9 o'clock in the evening till like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock the next morning. You cannot have it anywhere in your camp. The great thing about this polycord is that it's so slick, it just slides over the branches of a tree, like pine trees and stuff. I mean, with the nylon cord, the polycord, or not the poly, I'm sorry, the braided paracord, it grips the bark on the tree and it gets stuck. You find ropes stuck all the time up in trees. They can't get them out. And it'll tend to loop around. If you've got a rock, on the end, it'll loop around and then you can't get it undone. This stuff is so slick and so stiff, you're not going to get that locked up in a tree. I mean, it's just so much easier to hang stuff and so much easier to use for ridge lines and stuff when you're putting up tarp shelters. It does not absorb any water, so we've all been there when we're taking down our tarp shelters or our tents and it's raining or it has been raining, and you literally have to take the braided or the paracord, you put it between your thumb and your finger, and you have to squeeze the water out. It's not that it absorbs a lot of water. It's just that with this little braided coating on the outside, it gets down through there and it holds it in that hollow area. So this stuff saves weight because it doesn't absorb water. You can just take it down after a rainy night and it's good as gold. Also, I always have a rock bag for hanging food. And here's one. This thing has survived so long. My wife has patched it for me. If you do get a rock stuck in one of these bags, like in the crotch of a tree, if you give it a real good tug, you will rip the bottom out of this and you'll get your rope back. Because that's the main thing, is you want to get your rope back. You don't want to be back in there. If you brought 2 ropes, which is what you should bring for hanging food, you don't want to lose a rope. So anyway, that's my spin on cordage. Cordage is important and it's our friend. So thanks for watching.